This is following that kwento. Why did your mom say that you should not go into music? Was because when she died when I was 6, that was what my mom told my dad.
What, in her deathbed or when did she?
Yeah, when she was dying or when she was, because she remember in the 60s during her time when they find that you have cancer, they only tell you have 3 months or 6 months to live. So when they discovered that she had cancer, she had only 6 months to live. So by that time, binibili na niya yung mga, itong gagawin niyo, ganyan. Then also like telling my dad, naku, alagaan niyo yung si Bubot, my brother. Kasi she thinks that he's the one who needs a lot of attention and work. And then not allow any of the children to go into music. Precisely nga because it's difficult life. She knows how musicians live, having experienced that life in platerias and Raon and the Palengke of Musico. And then, so I was 14 and they had announcements they announced in ABS radio. They were looking for radio announcers. So I was 15 and I auditioned. And I was I went to studio during that time, Studio 8 was the place where I auditioned. Studio 8 became later on like the recording studio there, pero I don't remember it anymore. Parang nawala na siya yung area na yun. It became another studio. So I experienced yung next. Okay, thank you. Next, I experienced that. They let 5 people inside the booth, and they call your name, and then you go to the microphone, and then they ask you to read certain texts. So I tell you, before going there, I was I was modulating my voice this low. I was 15 years old, but I was trying to put it so low. The first text I read was a regular news thing that like if you a news item that radio announcers would read, And then he said that the guy who was in the booth would tell him, "Okay, thank you, very good. I mean, can you read the second page?" I was already elated kasi second page. Kasi hindi pa yung ibang tao before me, hindi pa natatapos yung first sentence nila. Okay, thank you. So, told me to read the second page. It was a blurb about The King and I, starring Yul Brynner. And I read, and I started making piyok. I was 15, and my voice was going, and I think that did it because the audition master was saying, "Thank you, Cipriano." Because my name is really Cipriano.
Raimundo Cipriano.
When I grew up, my 2 names are Raimundo Cipriano, but in school I used only Cipriano because ang haba ng name ko eh. So all my classmates called me Cip.
Cip, yeah.
Even Kokoy calls me Cip until today. Kokoy Laurel calls me Cip until today. So anyway,
Classmates.
yeah, well, so he said, "Okay, Cipriano, how old are you?" And I said, "I'm 15." Sabi ko gano'n. "Well, why don't you come back when you're 18?" Sabi niya gano'n. Alam mo, I didn't feel bad leaving that ABS. I didn't feel bad. I was saying, "Wow, he liked me, blah, blah, blah." That's in 1969. In 19 years later, I have my own television show in ABS-CBN.
Ryan Musikahan.
Ryan Musikahan.
Ganda.
So parang,
Sana if it was in the same place, no?
No, but you know what? When ABS regained their property, it was still like in
The way it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hindi
because-
binago eh.
Hindi
Kinuha lang naman
binago.
kasi.
And it just deteriorated.
Yeah.
Because they just used that, no? So when I went back for, no, it was like,
Yung pa rin, parang hindi
it's
ka
the
umalis.
same. And I remember nga that place where I auditioned. Because I still remember when I went inside that, the building.
Nakakakilig.
Diyan ako nag-audition. So, yung ganun. Well, anyway, that was the first one.
Okay, second
What was
job.
the second one? Well, it was not I did not apply for a job, but I joined the YMCA National Painting Contest.
Really?
Oh, that's when the doodling began.
Oh my God! Well,
Doodling.
I did. So, in our house, there were lots of unfinished paintings. Not lots, maybe 2 or 3 canvases, unfinished, left by my aunt, my 2 aunts. They went to school in UP, Fine Arts. They lived in our house temporarily, short time lang, maybe 2-3 years. And there were oil paints that were left behind. Tubes. There was only green, violet, and white. Okay. Tubes of paint.
Of paint.
So I said, I'm gonna join that contest. So I got an unfinished canvas and started painting over it, whatever I can paint. And then I decided I'm gonna paint figures of people in different costumes. So, and then I'll name it Mankind is One. Guys, I'm 14 years old here. 14 going on 15. Then my father was checking on me and said, "What are you doing?" "I'm trying to paint." And then, "Can I see?" And then he looks at the painting and says, "Oh my God, they all look like ghosts. What are you painting?" And I said, "Oh, they're figures of people. They look like ghosts." And then of course the color was light green, violet, and white.
Kasi limitado ka sa...
Kasi that's all I had. And then of course the paint brushes, they're all matigas because they were left behind. Used already and never, hindi nila nilinis. So yung paint, oil paint, they get matigas eh. So all the brushes stick together. I mean the hair.
The bristles, yeah.
The bristles, they stick together. So I finished the painting and then I submitted it to YMCA. You know YMCA in 1968. This was in Arroceros. You know where where Manila City Hall, at the back of Manila City Hall is now the SM, etc. That's where YMCA is, and it was across the building, the GSIS building, where there was a Quezon or whatever statue. Anyway, the story behind that painting is a little hilarious because I had to cover it in newspaper.
Nararamdaman ko lang nangyari.
It was not dry yet.
Oh.
It wasn't dry yet. The painting wasn't dry yet. And I had to travel. I had to ride the bus. I got down in Quiapo and then I transferred to a jeep to go to there in Arroceros, which is City Hall. And when I arrived in the building, and the receptionist said, "Okay, can you submit your painting now and just sign here, blah 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 blah." So I go, "Wait, I have to take out the newspaper." So I went to the toilet to take out the newspaper. That first page of the newspaper that was nearest the canvas, nakadikit sa painting. So I had to, well, at least medyo natanggal ko yung malaking part, pero maraming maliliit na slivers ng newspaper na I had to take out. And then some of them I just, never mind, mukhang textural na. So I left it behind and I went home and then just waited or did my thing. You know what? A week later, I received a telegram Very good. RCPI.
Oh my God, RCP.
You remember RCPI?
Yes.
Okay. And I opened it. I didn't know where it came from. Basta it's for me. It's for Cipriano Cayabyab. I open it and it says, "Congratulations, you won third prize."
Oh.
It's a national painting contest of YMCA.
Wow.
And also, I was the youngest that submitted an oil painting. There were two categories, oil and watercolor. And I submitted oil. Oh my God, it won. And my father was saying, "What?"
Where is it?
I think it's destroyed. Yeah, I think, through the years, and I remember that it was really flimsily framed because it was just an old canvas that I painted something. Like if you make kaskas, you will see the older painting underneath. Oh, anyway.
So you could have been a painter too pala.
Yeah, well, I won 50 pesos, and I was telling my daughter, she was asking me, what could you do with 50 pesos in 1969? 69 pala, not 60. And I said, well, I bought 2 cans of corned beef. One can costs 1.20.
Wow.
1 peso and 20 centavos. And you're talking about the old corned beef of before, like Hereford. Did you ever hear of that
Of course,
corned beef?
Hereford. Yes. Meron pa rin
What's it
yan.
called?
Hereford.
Hereford.
Yan yung brand. Meron pa rin.
Yeah, or Libby's.
Yes.
Libby's.
Libby's.
corned
American
beef.
War
Hormel.
time.
Oh, American.
Libby's.
I don't remember
Hormel and
Hormel, but
Harvard.
it's really Libby's or
American
maybe
brands.
Hartford, maybe not, maybe that's new. But I remember I did buy, and 2 small cans of Vienna sausage. I love Vienna sausage. I bought for myself.
In other words, pagkain ang binili mo.
Bumili ako ng pagkain. Of course, I brought it home so we could eat it, celebrate with it. I bought, I think, 2 sandos, 2 briefs.
See what
you know,
50
for
pesos
myself.
could do before?
Yeah. And then the rest of the money, I think about 20 pesos, I gave to my dad. That's how I remembered all that because I'm sure natatawa yung dad ko doon sa painting ko. What? Nanalo yan? Well, anyway, that's number 2. The third one
Yan na.
is right after I graduated from high school. I said I really wanted to look for a job. So I said, if I go to Platerias, the Rhapsody Music House, I present myself to the sales clerk and say, you need somebody to do the demonstration for you for mothers who come in the store and say, how does this music sound? So I play for them. That's how I envisioned it. And then the woman behind the counter says, I'm sorry, we don't have a job for you. And I said, can I just stay here and the whole day and try out all the pieces?
Wow.
You know what? That became a project for me. I saw that Rhapsody in Blue cost 17 or 14, Gershwins, 14 pesos. The piano score was 14 pesos. That was so expensive. I didn't have 14 pesos. Only had 1 peso a day. So you know what I did? I went to Rhapsody Music House maybe for the entire week or 2 weeks. Every other day I'd be there. I'd play it over and over. I memorized it. I didn't have to buy it.
Memorize.
I memorized it.
But you don't know the Rhapsody in Blue lang.
Yeah, just the piano version. There's a piano version, a solo piano version.
Oh, that's why. Sorry, side story. Why in Dumaguete? Remember the first year of camp in the library? It was all the cabinets with the sheet music. You remember that? And then you were opening everything. And
Wait,
you were
Mr. C, balik tayo. So, so hindi trabaho yun? You just hung out there?
Because it's not done yet.
Okay.
Ah.
I was there because I was hoping somebody would come in and say, oh, ang galing mo. Pwede ka ba tumugtog sa barko?
You created your own palengke.
It's in my mind, oh, ang galing mo. Pwede. Why was I thinking that way? Because during that time, it was fashionable for dining.
Like kanina.
Like kanina.
Yeah. Not pianos, organs. During that time, there was a Yamaha organ or there was a Technics organ
70s.
playing.
Alex
Relly Coloma, I don't know if you heard of Relly Coloma, Eric Dimson.
Oh my God, I remember Eric Davidson.
These are organists and they play popular music. Why was organ music popular? Because it already had its own bass, and it had its own beats, and you could play the melody, and it had this rhythm, chord rhythms. I was thinking somebody would come in and say, oh, magaling ka, I'll hire you. Yun nasa isip ko. Well, that didn't happen. What happened was, somebody came in, it was a cousin of mine, I hadn't seen in a long time. She said, wow, ang laki mo na. Sabi niya gano'n, the last time I saw you was when you were still small. Ang galing mo mag-piano. Sabi niya gano'n. Alam mo, kailangan nila ng pianista sa DBP.
Saan?
So they discovered you that.
Yes.
How
They
old were you?
need-
How old were you?
15.
Oh my gosh.
Kailangan nila ng pianista sa DBP Choral Ensemble kasi yung pinsan ko, who's not my cousin, pinsan niya, other side, who was a pianist, left for the States, migrated. So now they're left without a pianist. Why don't you go and audition? And it just so happened that her father worked in DBP. Yung father nitong pinsan ko. Her father and my mom, magkapatid.
Oh.
Sabi niya, so, you go to the house first. I think she told her father. And then sabi niya, oh, tell him to go this Sunday. I want to hear how he plays. Baka mapahiya siya, gano'n. So, I went to their house and he brought their choral pieces, no? Sige, can you play this? Can you play this? So, he put about, 4 to 5 pieces na kinakatanong choir. I played everything on sight. Sight reading. That's a side story I want to tell you about later. How did I learn to play?
Ask.
So the next day, which is Monday, he said, you look for me, I'll bring you to the office of the president of the choral group. You tell her that your name is Ryan Soriano, and you tell her that you're 18 years old. Okay?
Wrong name? Okay.
He didn't want me to use my name because the conductor will definitely know
Connect.
my mother's name. So he said, use this name and tell them that you're 18 years old, because I was just 15. That you're 18 years old, and then if she asks you to play, well, just play. And I auditioned. The conductor conducted me and said, okay. And I played. I got that job right there and then. And then the president of the choral group said, okay, we will pay you 200 pesos a month. That's big money in 1970. 200 pesos a month, you come here twice a week. So I only go there 8 times a week.
8 times a month.
A month, just to rehearse for an hour and a half.
Wow.
For 3:30 to 5 o'clock. And I had a 5:30 class in UP. I was always late. But during that time, it only took about 45 minutes.
Oo, wala pang
From
traffic.
Makati all the way to
high
UP.
school, you're college, high school.
I just graduated from high school.
I graduated at 15.
Yeah, 15, right. So anyway, I was hired and actually, that was in April because by the time I really started working, I turned 16. My birthday was May 4. So that was my first job. Now you're gonna ask me, how did I learn how to play? From the time my mother died, and
Because you did not take formal lessons.
because I didn't take formal lessons.
That's what I
Wow.
always wanted to.
No.
This is the part that we need to know. You never took formal lessons.
Later na.
Later na.
Okay, wait, let's hear it from the beginning.
Keeps me hope in life. Gives me hope.
So, at 4 years old, I really had my own. My mother enrolled me in piano, so I had a piano teacher, and I was able to do my first recital. But that was it, my first and last recital, maybe at 5 years old. Because after that, and then when she died, no more music lessons, no more nothing. And at 9 years old, we were asked to leave UP, our house in UP, because you can only stay in UP if there was an employee or a faculty member.
It was your mom.
That was my mom was a faculty member, and we had to leave UP because there was no more, wala nang connection. So we lived in UP Village, said goodbye to all those borders, and no,
Who was the teacher who taught you when you were 4 or 5?
yeah,
Your mom?
no. The name is Asuncion Lauriola, but she's already passed on. And then, the mother of Cecil Azarcon told me once, I went to your house, I taught you some piano before. When you were small.
So,
But-
as a kid, pinaaral ka rin ng
Yes,
piano?
yes. Pero yung John Thompson, grade 1, grade 2, hanggang doon ka lang.
Yes,
Kasi yun lang pwede kong...
But at least you could read notes at that young already.
How can a kid learn how to read just quarter and whole notes? Pwede.
Oh.
Pero when you talk about 8 notes and 16 notes and all that, how did I learn that? This was the... So, even if I wasn't taking any more lessons, I always liked going to the piano and playing and looking at pieces. If there are pieces that I can understand, I'll try to play them. But this is what happened. When we transferred to our house in UP Village, there was this box, this brown box, when you pack things, you put them in boxes, etc. That was this brown box na hindi binubuksan. So I wonder, what's in that box? Open it. Guess what? It was full of piano books left by the boarders.
Wow.
They left them behind because, of course, they would need,
Oh.
perhaps, they go back to, and many of them are luma na. And some of them are books of my mom. So, halo-halo yun, and piano books. You know what I did? From 8, 9, all the way until 12, I'd look at all the piano books, and I started the books that they look easy, so I played them. And then next, pahirap.
So, parang you're
Self-taught.
self-taught.
Exactly, self-taught. Self-taught. But then I later on, when I did auditions, that was only that time I realized that I really didn't have the classical piano touch. Kasi I was self-taught,
Oo.
but I could read anything. That was something that I was so confident about. You can put anything in front of me and I'll read it on sight.
That's a
And-
talent in itself, right?
Yes.
Not everybody can do that.
Yes.
Sight reader.
Sight reading, yes. I
Ano
did
yan,
that.
Mr. C? It's a connection of the brain to the fingers?
Yeah, motor skills yun eh.
It's a motor skill.
Yes.
How did you know it was correct?
I know, because it sounded.
No, but let's say you look at the piece and notes you've never seen. Or symbols you've never seen. How do you
It
know
seems like I got the hang of it. Oh, I forgot to tell you. My older sister knew piano better than I. So when I was trying out those more difficult pieces,
Tuturuan ka niya.
she would not sit beside me. She would scream from her room, from the toilet, from the garden. She would say, "Mali! F sharp yun, hindi yan F sharp." That was the kind of education I had in piano. She would say, "Too slow, you're playing it too slow." But she's not beside me.
Pero alam niya.
She knows because she would play that piece. But after siguro about a year, 2 years, I was playing.
Na-master mo na.
No, I was playing pieces more difficult than where she stopped at. So she didn't anymore tell me kung mabilis o mabilis kasi hindi siya umabot dun sa dun sa mga
Well, and
pieces
she
niya.
never took it seriously. Pag not like you.
No, she never. No, she didn't. I don't know. There was really something stopping all of us from, really pursuing. Because she also, when she was young, she was given lessons by a national artist. What's her name? Jovita Fuentes.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because Jovita Fuentes was the teacher of my mom.
Mm-mm.
Voice teacher. And she would ask her, my sister, "Oh, you tell her to come to me. I'll give her lessons." Ganyan. And this was even when my mom was already dead. Kasi I guess she was saying, maybe nakikita niya, kawawa naman itong bata to. Ganyan. So she would teach her. But she didn't make use of her, whatever she learned as a pianist.